in the real world. Headlines of ongoing terrorist threats, of kids killing kids on school campuses, of people who have been ravaged by identity thieves, and of businesses who are confounded by their inability to engage their employees and for their employees to take ownership for their efforts. People cry out for effective leadership. Yet the factory models of leadership offer little or no promise of valuable action, because in the end, they are nothing more than the reaffirmation of yesterday's news. People are externally committed to the work, putting in their time until the workday ends, but are not internally committed to the mission or purpose of the organization's life. I assure you that what I am saying here today does not come from reading a bunch of books. It comes from a lifetime of experience and more than 30 years of simulating real-world challenges, the last 16 dedicated to leadership development in the face of intractable issues and challenges. Issues such as counterterrorism, school safety, airport security, identity theft, change in senior management of a global financial organization, and even the opening day of a new baseball stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, the answers keep coming up the same. The key to success is to create agility by proactively developing influence relationships founded on a basis of mutual trust, confidence, collaboration, and partnership of all those involved. You see, as the weight of the issues at hand press down on us, we must press back on them with the diverse talents of a committed group of people. Because in the end, leadership is what people do together. You see, I firmly believe that if we come to view leadership as a dynamic force for change, there is no challenge too hard, no problem too complex, no issue that cannot be overcome. Wasn't it Margaret Mead who said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world"? Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. So folks, I want to spend the next few minutes highlighting what I found to be key elements of moving people towards the art and practice of 21st century leadership. Now, I know it's very difficult to take complex relationships and ideas and reduce them to 4, 5, 7, or 21-step processes. But sometimes identifying certain elements can provide a starting point. Let's call it an initiation point, where people can come to understand how to begin a process of thinking and acting differently. And that is what I hope you will see in the next few minutes. From where I sit, the 4 elements to consider when deciding to move towards 21st century leadership include the language, the leader, the people, and the process. Let's talk about language for a couple of minutes. People are motivated by the mental models they form, the metaphors they live by, and the language they have come to understand. If a person sees themselves in a battle for supremacy of some sort, they most likely will adopt a warrior's mentality. Words like target, strike, enemy, ongoing battle go a long way in defining the thoughts running through a person's mind. However, if a person sees themselves as traveling an artist's path, then words like blank canvas, creative, brushstroke, sculpting would most likely describe the lens this person uses to view the world. Now, I assure you that I am not making a value judgment of either of these 2 metaphorical viewpoints. The point is simply that we are moved by the words we use. So why is it that organizations are confounded by their inability to get people to take ownership for their work? Why is it that the topic of employee engagement is one of the hottest topics in workforce-related periodicals? Perhaps one contributing reason is that the use of the term followers means just that. Followers follow, whereas, for example, partners own. Yes, I know, there are those who believe in their heart that the term leadership and followership are inseparable. One cannot exist without the other. They are, in fact, 2 sides of the same coin. I have great difficulty with this idea and have come to fervently reject this notion. You see, the time has come to mint new coins. Isn't it time for us to modify the leader-follower relationship to something that provides a place at the table for people to be truly involved, make a difference, be part of something greater than themselves? If you believe, as I do, that one person who has seemingly perfect knowledge cannot solve the complex challenges we face, then the ability of a group of people who bring diverse knowledge and talents and apply them to the issues at hand is really where the action is. Would you rather have people waiting to follow, or those whose proactive involvement is truly meaningful to the overall leadership effect? The word partner or collaborator bespeaks respect for one's ideas and knowledge and full inclusion into the decision-making process. And oh, by the way, let's be clear about this. This does not mean that everyone becomes a boss, per se, but rather a full-on contributor to the organization's cause. Let's talk about leaders. The preponderance of work done in most leadership development programs has concentrated on the leaders and leading. If we make better leaders, teach them what other leaders seem to be doing, we will get better leadership. If we reflect back on the Development Dimensions report for a minute, it seems this approach isn't getting us much traction. In fact, when leaders were given the opportunity to rate themselves, a little over 30% would rate their own leadership quality as good or excellent. Have we not tired of trying to create some perfect person or a leader from a human development perspective that meets every single known trait or behavioral profile to be able to do leadership? More importantly, if we were able to achieve such a noble feat, would we as mere humans recognize him or her? The issue with leadership is not about creating perfect people, but providing access for more people to take an active and meaningful role in an organization or community and simply do leadership. In the 21st century, the job of leaders is changing dramatically. Their job is to initiate and facilitate the leadership dynamic. They must work to create an environment built on mutual trust, confidence, collaboration, and partnership to bring the diverse talents of a committed group of people to bear on the challenges before them. And I must tell you, ladies and gentlemen, intuitively, we expect this. We demand this because we know in the depths of our consciousness that there is no challenge too great or too hard, that it cannot be overcome by the dedicated efforts of a committed group of people. And while we're on that subject, let's talk about people for a minute. People are no longer just another resource in the management mix. They are the very capital upon which organizations exist. They are the creative and innovative force that truly propels organizations into the futures. For years, leaders have been celebrated as the hero, whose job it is to lead while we follow, even though all of us are on our own heroic journey. The great scholar of mythology, Joseph Campbell, renowned for the study of all the world's belief systems, has told us this. In 1987, Campbell was interviewed by Bill Moyers for his now famous Power of Myth television series. At one point, Moyers asked Campbell about the unifying theme of life. "Is it that we are searching for the meaning of life?" asked Moyers. "No," said Campbell. "It is futile to search for the meaning of life. Instead, we search for the experience of being alive." Let me say it another way. It is not what life means to us, but what do we mean to life. Whether you are a bungee jumper, military member, teacher, speaker, baker, trainer, or even a candlestick maker, we search for a meaningful existence. Remember, it was Campbell who encouraged us to follow our bliss. Every single day, people come to work searching for the experience of being alive, by making a difference, doing something important, or being part of something that truly matters, the outcome of which they have helped design and develop. In too many instances, this pool of imagination and innovation remains an untapped power, even though I believe it is ready to take on life's greatest challenges. 21st century leaders recognize and embrace this fact of life, and they work to clear a path for meaningful individual contribution in today and tomorrow's work. Their job is to release that pool of human potential, forming an agile force for transforming change. And let's talk a bit about process. Leadership scholar John Gardner tells us that leadership is such a gripping subject that when it takes center stage, it takes attention away from everything else. It is a powerful and ennobling word in our dictionary, perhaps in some instances the most powerful. However, the use of the term leadership is undergoing a major transformation from one that describes position, that is, the leadership or a single individual, to that of application or practice of leadership activities within specific, real contexts. Those contexts include culture, systems, processes, technologies, all with a stated goal of bringing about significant or transforming change. From the idea that a leader bestows leadership upon us to the notion that people do leadership together. This is leadership for the 21st century. Now, some might ask at this point, John, does this apply to the younger generations at all? My answer, more than you know. Consider this quote from Bill George, author of True North, in a recent 2007 Business Week article on what I refer to as the emergence of the super networkers. Their approach to leadership is entirely different. They don't care about position or power, status, or organizational hierarchy, or even having followers. Instead, they are superb networkers who find collaborators to create opportunities and businesses. They are online 24/7, always networking, always in touch. The emerging leaders are knowledge workers who typically know more than their bosses. They collaborate with people who have skills they don't, growing up with diversity as the norm. They understand the benefits of diverse people working together to solve the world's most pressing problems. In a rapidly changing world where a multitude of talent must be applied to complex issues, the 21st century perspectives of leadership require that people come together in relationships built on mutual trust and work to create substantive change. The reasoning is simple. Leadership can be anything anyone says it is until you have to go do something difficult and complex with it. Until you have to stem the tide of intractable challenges that press down on us each and every day in a country that values freedom and liberty above all else. In the 21st century, leadership is not about the leader who resides in a state of perfect being. Instead, leadership is a confluence of action, where all people in the leadership dynamic find meaning from their engagement with the complex challenges of the day. And this can only be attained through the doing of life, because leadership is what people do together. Every single day, life asks us for answers to its most perplexing challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, where do you draw the line? How shall you respond? And in effect, what shall you do? In the end, the choice is yours. I encourage you to choose wisely. Thank you.